السيدات والسادة نرحب.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the speakers at this moment, and we'll continue the sessions of the summit and its ongoing dialogue to shape the future of sustainable development in which nations can prosper and enjoy welfare. In this session, we'd like to welcome His Excellency Jamal bin Houyaib, the CEO of Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation, and Khalid Abdel Shafi, the manager of the Regional Center for the UNDP, and Dr. Hani Turki, the chief technical advisor of the Knowledge Project, to tell us about the most prominent outcomes of the Global Knowledge Index for the year 2019 and the importance of the UNDP and Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation under the title the UNDP Program and Mohammed bin Rashid Knowledge Foundation, a partnership for sustainable development. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the second day of the Knowledge Summit 2019 and its sixth edition under the title Knowledge for Sustainable Development. In light of the rainfall outside this building, we'll try to get this great knowledge from our panelists in a session entitled UNDP MBRF, a partnership for sustainable development. I would like to welcome all of you, our dear guests, and I would like to welcome our panelists, Mr. Jamal bin Houyaib, the CEO of Mohammed Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation. I'd like to welcome Mr. Khalid Abdel Shafi, the manager of the regional hub for the UNDP, and Dr. Hani Turki, the head of the Arab Knowledge Center and the head of the technical advisors at the UNDP. As you know, yesterday we launched the Global Knowledge Index. Dr. Hani and the rest of the panelists, we will be talking about the outcomes of this indicator or index. But before that, there is a brief video that we'll watch together, and then we'll start our discussion with our panelists. Thank you. This is a brief about the scope of this massive project. I'll start with Dr. Jamal. Dr. Jamal, the partnership with UNDP, between MBRF and UNDP and Mohammed Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation, which is like 10 years old, and it will expand for the upcoming 10 years. Why have you shouldered the responsibility of giving a large number of examples, the Global Knowledge Index? What's the importance of this for the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and for the center, and also for the UNDP member states? First, good morning to all of you. It's an honor and a pleasure that you've welcomed us. We would like to welcome all of you today and your kind participation and attendance at the 6th Knowledge Summit. The partnership with the United Nations Development Program is a 10 years old partnership in which we have had many experiences. We started by the initial knowledge reports, and then we moved on to the first knowledge indicator in the Arab world. The initial knowledge reports were highly critical because they preceded the so-called Arab Spring And those reports have been released now. Those reports have been released now, so we can benchmark the level of knowledge we had before 2011 and afterwards. Then we moved on to the knowledge indicators or indexes, and this has been a qualitative shift in the Arab world. The UNDP team did a great job and worked together diligently with our team to reach the best possible level. After the issuance of two indices, I said that it was high time to enhance and to increase the knowledge in this regard, because the World Bank paused or stopped at the Global Knowledge Index in 2012, and it was a much smaller scale, at a much smaller scale, and not as big as the one we have today. The countries that do not measure their knowledge will not achieve anything. The countries that do not compete to be among the top ranking countries in the list will not reach anything, will not achieve anything, will not be able to ensure the happiness of their nations. Those who take to the streets and call for their rights, they want happiness, they want welfare, they want to have their families and ensure that their families and their communities reach a decent way of life and happy and welfare life. The United Arab Emirates is the first country. Of course, we are issuing the indicator with the UN, yet the country that studied this indicator the most and tried to boost our ranking and boost the success and welfare of our nation is actually done by our wise leadership. So our competitiveness has reached its top level, and in the indexes, in all indexes, we have reached the top rankings, including the knowledge index. In the first year, we ranked 25, then 19, and now we are ranking 18. And I'm sure and I'm confident that the entities, the concerned entities in the UAE, will ensure that the ranking of the UAE reaches the top positions on the list. And I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation to the efforts of the government of Egypt. The government of Egypt, I would like to thank them because they have climbed many rankings. They climbed 17 rankings this year compared to last year. Egypt climbed 17 positions, and I would like to thank the Arab Republic of Egypt for this great development. The countries that want to ensure happiness for their nations and for their people, they need to study these indicators and also be highly competitive in this difficult time that we're facing.
شراكتنا مع الأمم المتحدة.
Our partnership with the United Nations is a very distinguished one. It doesn't just include knowledge indexes and reports. We have knowledge weeks in these countries, and there's also a very important report for all who are concerned, which is the report of the future of knowledge. There is knowledge for which this era is going to be full of knowledge, and it will be in the future. Unfortunately, some of these countries, according to the report, the report indicates that there will not be knowledgeable countries in the future, and that is a very important benefit for such countries to review their status and go back to the way they used to. Now we're gonna during this conversation we're gonna talk about knowledge report and the index of the future knowledge, which is the expectation of the future knowledge using different algorithms. Mr. Khaled, this partnership has been going on for 10 years and it will go on for another decade. What are the directives of the UNDP to continue with this partnership and to enhance it? Thank you very much. Good morning. Actually, as you have mentioned, last year we celebrated the 10th year of this partnership, and at this time last year in New York we signed a new agreement for the coming decade. It will conclude in 2030, and that has a very remarkable symbolism, because we know that the Sustainable Development Goals, sustainable goals, and we know also that the UAE's vision and strategy will also be concluded in 2030. Therefore, this partnership, this is not a coincidence. We meet. We share the points of achieving the 2030 agenda. The importance of this partnership is that we agree on the main principle, which is the Sustainable Development Agenda 2020 will not be achieved without creating knowledgeable communities, because knowledge plays a very important and basic role in our current age in achieving such an important agenda. Our partnership as well is also built on the production of data. And one of the most dilemmas that are facing our countries, specifically Arab countries and the third world countries, is the lack of data or the scarcity of data. Therefore, the index, in order to launch or produce and analyze data that will facilitate this data, will facilitate its introduction to the decision makers across these countries. And as His Excellency Mr. Jamal said, that we don't suffice with the production of data and the production of the index. We believe that this data are a tool for the decision makers and the officials in order to enhance the current status. And while talking about partnership, that's the last point here. It's not a coincidence that the 17th goal in the Sustainable Development Goals is about partnerships. There is a very profound belief from the previous millennial goals that without the building of partnerships between the international organizations and governments, the civil society and the private sector, this aspiring agenda won't be implemented. Therefore, partnership is extremely fundamental. Dr. Hani, what caught my eye is that it was easy for the United Arab Emirates, because they are always pioneering, to know which is their rank in education and health. They would bring experts like you, Dr. Hani, to head the group, and Dr. Gamal will head the group, and they will know through their expertise their ranking in certain sectors. But the United Arab Emirates decided to do this to other 136 countries with the partnership of the UNDP. Since now this responsibility is way bigger and way more for you guys, because it's more job, it's more work for over 160 countries. So what are the benefits of finding such index, and how do you work across the year to assemble all of these huge components? Good morning, everyone. As for the institution, we don't want just the 136 countries. We wanted for over 190 countries. We wanted to include the whole world. But with each year, the number of countries in the index is increasing. We started with 131, and then 134, and then 136. The production of the index is a very hard process. It's done through a host of one of the finest experts and specialized individuals across the Arab world, through covering all of the various sectors and fields. The index is composed of main 7 fields. We have a central team who are going to put or form the methodology on how to go through with the index, and we sent to all of the fields and sectors in the international organization. For example, example, UNESCO in education, World Bank in economy, and the International ICT Organization for ICT, and so on and so forth. After agreeing upon the methodology, the central team's role is over because, so in order to have complete transparency, our team started gathering the information from the international organization, such data from, so the international organization would extract this data from countries, and then the international organization are going to filter it, and then we would use it through our own team to calculate the index and produce the results. I just want to clarify a certain point. Who is drafting the methodology and who is overlooking it or supervising it? Individual experts in the Arab region are going to, they are the ones who select and draft the methodology, and then it's reviewed. Dr. Jamal, to what extent it's important to continue into creating and disseminating knowledge, how important that is and how essential that is for each country to use such index to work on the development in the future. Without such indexes, it's as if you have gone to a doctor and the doctor examined you and he looked at you and he smiled at you, and then you go home without having a prescription, without diagnosis, and then you go home still sick and ill, and you say that the doctor smiled at me, yet there is no diagnosis, there is no prescription for your treatment. So countries and people are exactly as this patient. Some of the countries are very developed, but there are some shortcomings in certain areas in performance, whether education, health sectors, and so on. This index would give you the right diagnosis. As Dr. Hani said, we are relying on the independent individuals and the international organizations. Of course, we update our data from countries, and that what happened from the Arab Republic of Egypt. They updated the data, and of course, the diagnoses have changed completely. So it's very important for countries to update all of the information and data, as well as the fact that the index would measure your knowledge state currently. So knowledge. Without this index, you can actually, you won't be able to measure the knowledge-based economy, because knowledge-based economy will provide happiness, will provide prosperity, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, some of the undeveloped countries don't really pay attention to these indexes, and they don't really care much about updating their data and information in the international organization. They might be better than what is indicated in the indicator, but we don't know because they didn't update their data and information. So I would like to call on all of the countries to do so. I would give you an example. One of the team of the index went to Finland. They were working with the Ministry of Education. They gave them a complete presentation about the index of knowledge, the Global Knowledge Index, and they were talking about vocational education, and that there is shortcomings on their behalf. And they said, this is what we found, and currently we are planning practical solutions and plans to elevate the status of the vocational education. They knew they are studying everything. Finland did not come this far by coincidence. They study everything, they measure everything, they look at everything. They received this very well in Finland, and we reinformed their information, the information that they have already. So actually, we traveled to Singapore. Some of the developed countries actually have some certain shortcomings. This index would measure and determine such shortcomings. We don't have a magical remedy, but if countries look at this diagnosis, they would work on the development of their countries. And this is what the UAE is doing, and the Arab Republic of Egypt also is doing. Mr. Khalid, 136 countries are included under the umbrella of the partnership between the UAE and the Mohammed bin Rashid Knowledge Foundation and the partnership. So the Knowledge Index, how do you produce such results? I know that was launched here yesterday, the index of 2019. Probably will be covered by the media. But do you provide your results to the governments? Thank you. As you know, that the UNDP covering is working with 170 countries across the world, and we have offices and bureaus in 130 countries across the world. And I can see here Mrs. Helen Craig. She was the general director of the UNDP previously. So let's welcome her. She supported this project. She was in charge during the start of this project. Let's welcome her and salute her. Now, let's go back to your question. Through the existence of the UNDP in various countries across the world, we display the results of this index to countries and governments and partners in these countries, whether nationally or regionally, because we believe that the importance of this index is not on how to issue it and what its and its results, but on how to use it to enhance the statuses of countries and to create national, regional, as well as international platforms. And of course, this is one of such platforms. The Knowledge Summit is one of such platforms to discuss the results of this index and how can we all go forward in the field of knowledge. And of course, this platform would include representatives from governments, international organizations, private sector, because we know that private sector plays a very important role in the creation, dissemination, and development of knowledge. And that is through our presence internationally. We participate in the creation of dialogues on various levels. And here lies the importance of the index and the role of the UNDP in partnership with the Mohammed bin Rashid Knowledge Foundation. Mr. Mohammed, we know that these two organizations, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation and the UNDP, they have a wonderful reputation and they are very prestigious. And of course, the UNDP would not partner with any partnership with for such a long time unless there is huge progress, let alone renewing the contract. So there are certain individuals that may be skeptical about the results of the index. So how would you prove that these results are the actual truth of all of these countries? So any international index faces a lot of criticism and questions and skepticism. Yet, thanks to Allah, we don't have any type of doubt about the numbers. Maybe they have queries about the methodologies. But ever since 2017, the report printed and posted on the website knowledgeorg.com, we post the report after its treatment, and also we provide the original data and show how did we get this data. Number two, we don't interact with the countries directly to get the data. We communicate with them to encourage them to send information and data to the international communities who are working on the sectors in the index, and we collect data from the international organization. So any type of any type of information from the countries, it's coming from the country directly. So no country would say that this number does not belong to me or I did not issue this one, because we are very sure of its accuracy on how, and also we're very sure on how updated it is. For example, any international index that is issued in 2019, the last update would be by the end of 2018. So the final stages that are happening after, which is the finalization, the analysis, and printing, and so on and so forth. All of these procedures take this specific time after the update. So I worked for an entire year continuously along with my team. I would like to thank them all very much for their effort. They decided that the final update would be the 1st of October 2019. So up until lately, we just collected the information pretty late, like really soon, so that we would have this index as accurate as possible. I have a question. In order to produce the knowledge index, is it are you using algorithms to collect the information with, or it's a human collected process? Yes, we refused to do it through algorithm because we wanted to be more accurate. We worked on this index firstly in the UAE for 2 years. We have an experience, and we found that it's sometimes, if we collect the data from the international organization, sometimes there are certain errors because those who enter the data are also human beings. Probably some numbers are reversed, some numbers are missing. So we don't just look at the numbers, we look at the numbers and the previous numbers and see if they are coordinated or not, if they are logical or not, in order to make sense of it. So we've gone through 136 numbers for all of these countries, each in each sector in the index, just to make sure that there are no errors and no mistakes, because we don't just expressing these two huge institutions, because any type of error would make everyone skeptical about this index. So this of course was a challenge. So what are the rest of the challenges that you may face, and what are the challenges that you already overcome? So the United Nations in itself is a challenge. In what? What do you mean what? In its bureaucracy or while working with them? So we are an international institution, the Mohammed bin Rashid Knowledge Foundation, and the United Nations. They have very huge projects and a lot of burden to carry. But when they have responded to this project and joined us in this project through the UNDP, this is, of course, an honor for us, and I'm very proud of it. So I did not say this except to praise them, because they did not, because they were very good with us and they did their best. So the first challenge, of course, is the data. A huge number of the countries across the world do not update their data, and that is a problem we are facing. Therefore, we suffice with 34 countries and then 136 countries in order to best benefit the biggest number of countries possible. And also we have the weeks, the knowledge weeks. Some countries, we start working with them and we find complete support from them in the very beginning, and some other times may need more. Other countries, they need more time. I was surprised yesterday from the Minister of Labor in Kazakhstan, and she came with the UNDP's team, and she asked to hold Knowledge Week there. That is something that we are honored to do in order to work and have a Knowledge Week in Kazakhstan. So Knowledge Week, maybe Dr. Hani is going to tell you a bit more about it. It's very important to have students and universities participate in it. And there's also Knowledge Week in Jordan. And our brother Saif was there, Dr. Hani was there. Youth themselves, they studied the index. They extracted the challenges, provided us with solutions, and they gave it to the minister. And the minister and the Secretary General of the Ministry of Youth, he authorized or ordered to have an authority for knowledge. And some of these individuals or these youth are visiting the summit today to enact this index and to overcome all of these obstacles to the development of Jordan. That's what we want all the countries to do, and this is what we're doing in the UAE. The knowledge index have been read repeatedly, and according to it, a lot of information have been updated. We have a number of challenges, yet thanks to Allah, we work on it and overcome it, and we need just all countries to cooperate with us. Thank you.
الأردن
I'm not mistaken, but I believe that Jordan has climbed almost 7 positions in the knowledge index in 1 year. It climbed 7 positions in 1 year. I'm sure, Mr. Khalid, that we have many reasons to see why a number of countries are climbing several positions per year. For example, the EU has become now is ranking 18. It climbed from 25 to 18, and also it climbed in the Jordan also climbed the almost 7 positions in this global knowledge index. How do you interpret the outcomes? Do we have any insights about it? What do you say to Arab and African governments with regards to the outcome of this index? No doubt, the countries that make progress with regards to the knowledge index does not achieve this by coincidence. There is a government effort and determination by the governments that are keen on enhancing the root causes of the issue of knowledge and how to develop it in the different countries. So it's not just about government efforts. How can we integrate NGOs, universities, and the private sector to improve the ranking of knowledge at the national and international levels? There are major challenges, and they are massive in nature, especially when we talk about the SDGs agenda, and knowledge is part and parcel of this agenda. The scarcity of data, unfortunately, now we are saying that we have spent 1/3 of this time since we approved of the SDGs agenda into. Now we have 5 years have elapsed, and the outcomes globally are really not promising at all, and also at the level of the Arab world. Of course, the Arab states vary in their positions, but there are different variation in the causes, and especially the crisis, yes, and the successive crisis in the Arab countries. And definitely we have only 10 years to achieve this highly ambitious agenda. Therefore, we need to exert a double effort. Otherwise, I really suspect that we can achieve the 2030 agenda for SDGs. So I believe that, let's say, for example, the climate change topic and the different aspects that we see in climate change, all scientists and experts are warning us of the serious repercussions of climate change. We need to take it more seriously, and this is our role as international organizations and MBRF. We need to propel governments and to convince them to make the issue of knowledge top the list, and also list and provide the resources and the budgets. Without budgets to support those plans, this means that they will never materialize. As after the issuance of the Global Knowledge Index, Dr. Hani, we need to, after the issuance of this index, actually, how are you going to envision the future of any country? How can you give them a roadmap of where they are heading now, and do those countries act upon the indexes that you provide. The second challenge was the future foresight, or the report for knowledge future foresight. It's the only report of its kind globally which attempts to predict the future of knowledge for nations. Last year, we did this for 20 countries. Now, we have doubled the number this year, and for 2 years. We believe that the Global Knowledge Index is the very foundation of future foresight for knowledge for all nations. So it's able to tell us what will happen in the future, predict the future, or measure the level of readiness among countries in terms of the knowledge reliant economy. Now, we are in the heart of the fourth industrial revolution, and technology and its development is at the heart, such as artificial intelligence developments, the blockchain technology, cybersecurity, and biotechnology and the associated skills. In collaboration with BWC, we have established a model through which we can use artificial intelligence and big data to predict to what extent nations are ready for the future. Using a code that was written in 23 languages for 40 countries, we gather all relevant data from a source that can attract data from 150 million electronic resources. In our measurement process, we rely on how much people participate and their positive and negative impressions. At the end of the day, we have a toolbox or policy recommendations for states based on the current situation and the future. We have categorized countries into four sectors. Each sector will receive or receives actually the recommendations through which you can maintain your current position as a country and climb to higher positions. You are using algorithms for this. Yes, we are using algorithms because it's not easy for human mind to predict this. The problem is that when we write the code in 23 languages, we have every single word had to be written properly because any mistake will undermine the outcomes online. Mr. Jamal, how can we integrate modern technology and artificial intelligence in the project of knowledge? We have an application which is Knowledge for All. This application has a certain extent of artificial intelligence in terms of benchmarking countries. Artificial intelligence is the future certainty has to do with artificial intelligence. Now we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the utilization of technology in our life. This has become a tangible reality. We see only 5 or 3% of it, but you will see within the upcoming 10 years how will artificial intelligence dominate and become the driving force in developed countries, and the other developing countries will follow. Artificial intelligence cannot exist without knowledge, and today we cannot have proper knowledge and insights without artificial intelligence. So we are using our potential to utilize artificial intelligence for knowledge. When we first employed it, we employed it on our own data. We have indicators, we have data, we have indices, and the main or the bulk of work falls on the shoulders of governments and concerned entities. Every single nation that focuses on the welfare of the people and prosperity of the community has a duty today to pay special attention to data and to knowledge, and artificial intelligence is the outcome, is the definite certainty in the future. Maybe Dr. Hani can tell you more about the Knowledge for All app and this application, which how many times was it downloaded? It was downloaded almost 600,000 times since it was launched. It also uses artificial intelligence. I'll get back to you for the artificial intelligence, but Dr. Khalid, how did you reach this innovative vision? You have combined this vision in collaboration with the Muhammad Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation, and knowledge in this regard, Knowledge Global Index, after it was abandoned by the World Bank, you have picked it up and developed it even further in an innovative manner. How did you move in this direction? This direction is actually the direction of the future. So no entity or country or establishment of any sort or organization or even a company and the private sector, none of them can develop and cope with modern technology without taking into account innovation and state-of-the-art technologies, whether we like it or not. Does this apply to all the initiatives of UNDP? With all honesty, actually, we are trying now to enhance and improve and cope with the latest developments, even at the UNDP. We have recently appointed a chief innovation officer, which is a high position, because we do believe that without utilization of modern technology and innovation, even as an international organization, we cannot face the challenges of this day and age. Of course, the private sector has already beaten us to this, and the private sector has invested heavily in this domain. Yet we are still facing our dilemma globally that technological development has, to a great extent, taken people by surprise and taken the world by surprise. So if we do not build the skills, the technological skills among people, we will be in a difficult position in the future. And therefore, the UNDP and the international organizations and Mohammed bin Rashid Knowledge Foundation, we are fully aware of the importance of innovation and creativity. Dr. Hani will tell us about Knowledge for All, this application of this website. I will tell you, I will warn you that it can really rob you of all your time. It really takes you deep and controls your attention. Spend 2 hours comparing Tunisia and Arab countries and Jordan and how many rankings they climbed toward the top. So it's a very interactive application that keeps you glued to your smart device to be able to provide you with great information. Actually, we believe that we are at the onset of implementing artificial intelligence on the website. Next year, you will have even a better surprise for utilizing artificial intelligence completely in utilizing and boosting our results and outcomes and helping peoples and nations as well. The website, or the key objective of websites, is to provide data in a very comprehensive manner and in a simple manner that makes it very interesting to researchers and to the people who browse it. As highlighted by Mr. Khalid and Mr. Jamal for this topic, data are the elements that matter the most to be able to have a full strategy that we can use and implement. The problem with that is that we have uploaded all of our data free of charge to young people, to experts, and to academicians, so they can use them and download them, and also have interactive graphs that they can use in their researches. We have also put for them all the knowledge activities and events globally, and all the knowledge-related topics they can build with themselves, infographics that they can build on their own. All of this facilitates obtaining data and thereby having access to knowledge-related researches and so on. So if we understand and fully understand the importance of knowledge globally, this will be the first point or the first step towards solving challenges. What matters the most for us is young people, and if young people are not part of the solution, they will be part of the problem. So we are giving them the first and foremost steps to use data easily and how to integrate into the decision-making process, as highlighted by Mr. Jamal and Khalid, that this is what was done in the Knowledge Week. The Smart app was utilized by all of those young people to provide the recommendations, and it was attended then by the most important recommendations, and they have taken this into account. Dr. Jamal, if we learn I've learned that in the UAE that your ambitions have no limits in the UAE. We are now witnessing this highly ambitious initiative, which is being provided free of charge, based on which countries will build their future aspirations. What are your future steps? I'm sure you'll not stop here. The government of the United Arab Emirates is a very keen government on giving and supporting people at the international level. Even it's one of the main donors internationally, and the fact that they have submitted this knowledge, global knowledge indicator, free of charge to the world is a modest and simple contribution compared to all the contributions of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the UAE, and the Vice President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, God bless him. They have passion and love for humanity, and they love to support people and enhance welfare and prosperity for the people of the UAE, and they also want to enhance prosperity and welfare for all nations globally. That's why they are always at the forefront of providing support to all nations that are facing catastrophes or calamities. Wherever I go globally, I find the impact of their contributions in projects, and this global knowledge index is a project, and the knowledge reports and the future knowledge reports, and now we have the knowledge summit. All of these projects, in addition to the Knowledge University that was declared yesterday, all of which aim to help people, to help humanity, to help Muslims, and to help humanity as a whole and in general. We will not stop here. There will be many announcements of collaboration with the United Nations, because they have proven to me that they are fully dedicated and they are working for the public good of humanity, especially the team of Dr. Khalid and Hani and all of them. They have wonderful teams, and I would like to thank them very much, and I hope that you put your hands together for them, really. I can tell you that throughout the year they have been doing a great deal of effort, and this is not really an understatement. Dr. Khalid, I know that a short time ago you was warning that if we do not work now, if governments do not wake up now, maybe we will not be able to achieve the UNDP objectives for the 2030. What do countries have to do, especially that we have a large number of delegations that represent many countries here? What should they do now to achieve those objectives? I believe that we should take this topic on this issue very seriously, because the SDGs have to do with, they were not actually put forward haphazardly. They have to do with the future of humanity, with people's lives. When we talk about all of the objectives that talk about climate change, we are talking about the future of our children and our grandchildren. If we don't take this seriously, if we don't take governance seriously, if we do not provide the budgets that are necessary to bring about the required change, all of them are very, very concerning to see. What the phenomena that we see today are very concerning ones. So if we want to be loyal to what we have, to the obligations that we have made a pledge to implement, this pledge came from the nations and not the United Nations. These obligations were made and approved unanimously by the member states of the United Nations. So if we want to keep our promises and meet those pledges, we have to take them more seriously. We have to take the SDGs more seriously. We have to work relentlessly and seriously in a much better manner. Otherwise, we will wake up one day in the year 2030, especially that we have a principle that we should not leave anyone behind. Leaving no one behind is a UN principle. So if we really want to implement this principle, we need to be more serious. One closing statement for you, Mr. Khalid. What do you expect from this partnership, which has become quite mature now, and you're launching global knowledge indices that are used globally and are very important to the strategies of governments? What do you seek to achieve through the partnership with the Muhammad Rashid Knowledge Foundation? We are very proud and keen on this partnership, which is based and built on certain principles and our belief in the sustainable human development and development of human capital and the critical load of knowledge in achieving SDGs. And as we said, this partnership evolved throughout the years and moved from reports to Arab indicators to an international indicator. Now that we have for the knowledge aspirations, we have spoken about the Knowledge University yesterday and the sustainable development. So this partnership is evolving, and we are very proud of this, and we are keen on maintaining this partnership to achieve the desired objectives that we have in common. We wish you good luck, God willing. Dr. Han, you have a wonderful team, and you have all the teams and the algorithms and the mechanisms that you have now. How can you help those countries that work and collaborate under the umbrella of this project?
احنا زي ما قلت لحضرتك احنا
As I've said before, we don't just introduce the numbers, we also introduce policies, recommendations. We also interact youth and governments into decision making. This is a complete circle. Only missing, and that is there in some countries, which is the only part missing, which is the political will and the support of the private sector to build knowledge community, specifically in the Arab region. Currently, we have a clear picture for countries. We don't hide any information. The decision now is up to the countries and their governments. We know, what we have seen is that when they get the information, there is support, there is an incentive to implement and act upon it. So I think next year we'll be able to provide that to the rest of the world, specifically Arab countries. We want to increase their support and would like to increase our advice for them in order for them to progress more in the knowledge index and work upon their development. I would like to conclude first with Dr. Jamel. I have an opportunity for 2 questions from the audience. If you would like to ask any questions, the lady here and the gentleman behind her will start. Yes, we'll start with their questions. Peace be upon you all. I'm really happy for being here in the summit, and I'm really happy to be part of the audience in this wonderful host of individuals from across the world. Thank you for Muhammad Rashid Knowledge Foundation for the summit and for the wonderful organization. So actually, I would like to speak frankly. My name is Rana Hosseini. I work in vocational training. The first thing is for what we want to give to countries. His Excellency Sir Gamal actually provoked our emotions with the Arab Spring and how we're fearing for youth and for development. Before, we used to, in the previous millennium, we used to talk about democracy and human rights and information technology. And all of these reasons were the cause of Arab Spring and the destruction of youth's minds. The youth used technology in Facebook for creating a revolution, and they used the word democracy to offend the government and the president. So we have the image. Could you please summarize with the question? So the question now is that the knowledge. We're talking about the idea of knowledge. So does knowledge is specified to certain programs that we need to work on, or it's just a general term? Thank you, Dr. Jamal. I would like to refer this question to Mr. Hani. So, please, Mr. Hani. Knowledge has no boundaries. Knowledge, if you're talking about knowledge for an individual or a community or knowledge-based economy, one of the reasons that faced the countries from 2010 up until 2019 was the lack of clear conception of knowledge and the knowledge-based economy, or the wrong application of such economy in these countries. I want to give you an example on how knowledge could be either a challenge or an opportunity for countries. For example, Egypt, Tunisia, Turkey. In 2010, the progress and development rate was the same. And that, what I'm saying, is rested in the report of the Arab Knowledge Index and report for nationalizing and localization of knowledge. So this economy was based on manpower, a little bit of technology, and that actually was a result of the inequality in the society. So the wrong application of the knowledge-based economy led to this situation. So as Arab countries, we need to use technology in the positive way, not in a negative way. So if we guide the youth to use technology to develop their skills, instead of this filling up their free time on Facebook and all of these social media platforms, they are going to be the solution, not the problem. Thank you. By this, we reach the end of this session. Unfortunately, we couldn't answer all of the questions. Unfortunately, they will not ask me to come in the coming summit to run the session if I don't respect the time limitation. Thank you all of the guests, our dear guests, for your participation in this session, and thank you for all of the audience for your presence and your attention.